and welcome to South2North, coming to you from Wits University in South Africa. What do you think of your leaders? Do you think you could do a better job than them? Are they corrupt and tired old men? Let's not name any names. Or are they youthful and energetic? But do you still wonder if they're going to turn out one day just like the old bad guys? Well, all three of my guests on today's show know what it takes to be a leader. I recently talked by satellite to Malaysia's Prime Minister, Najib Tun Razak, about leading his country of nearly 29 million people and how he's using social media to do so. I have here in the studio with me two people who have been handpicked as future leaders of Africa. They were both chosen from hundreds of candidates by the prestigious African Leadership Institute to become Tutu Fellows. For the past year, Al Jazeera's cameras have been following them, and next week we start a 4-part documentary series about them. So welcome Ziad Mahirse, Tunisian doctor, revolutionary and radio talk show host, and Swadi Martin-leke, originally a child refugee from Liberia and now a successful businesswoman and entrepreneur. Let's start with you. You were at the forefront, Ziad, of the Tunisian revolution. How did you become a part of an event whose impact is still reverberating across the world?
Well, I think I'm just lucky.
Lucky? A revolutionary who's lucky. Okay, explain that to me.
Well, things have not been planned to topple a president the way it happened. So basically, I think I was part of a group of young people who was present on social media, who somehow spent some time building connections within Tunisia, and then was there in the streets with people when things started heating up.
But did you anticipate that it would become so massive?
I was thinking that change is in the air, that something big is going to happen, but I did not expect it to be that big to the extent to see it going to other countries and toppling other dictators.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about you then. From child refugee to a top businesswoman. Tell me about that journey. That's a revolution of some kind, I think.
I think, it's interesting. It's probably the story of a lot of young Africans. I had a dinner with friends, and we actually played a game, and around the table we asked how many of us had actually never experienced a coup while growing up in Africa, and actually none of us, all of us basically had experienced a coup.
Do you think African youth are unique then as a result of those events? Do we grow up too quickly?
I don't know if in the history of the world we're very different, but I think probably in our generation what is unique is that we had to experience a lot of changes in a very short period of time. And also I think we're born with a responsibility, and as African we're born with that responsibility to change our continent in our lifetime and see all these changes happen and be part of it.
Now, let's just see a clip of you at work being followed around by Al Jazeera cameras.
When great leadership seems in such short supply, can an African experiment with the legendary Archbishop Desmond Tutu as its patron offer any hope?
It is believed that you are people who can make a difference.
We share the same dream, and those who will come after us will also share that dream.
25 remarkable people promise to dedicate their talents to transforming the continent. Over the course of 6 months, they'll undergo intensive coaching in South Africa and the UK.
Guess what?
And have to show the results of their leadership on the ground.
Don't give me the victim.
It's uniquely designed to provoke.
Wrongly?
I can't stand anymore listening to all this. Seriously.
Test.
We don't have to be friends to work together.
Okay. Shh. Disgusting, yeah? And what else?
Unite.
I find you very special. You're special.
And empower them.
We can influence which road our nations go.
My mind's racing with all sorts of dangerous thoughts.
I feel so challenged and motivated to go and start changing the world.
But reaching for great heights as leaders will mean addressing taboos and facing their innermost conflicts.
But I can do this.
Is it okay for me to put my life on the line when I have the responsibility of these children?
For some, it's an experience that will alter their sense of direction in life. Among them, will we find Africa's leaders of tomorrow? These are Tutu's children.
Tutu's children, that looked like a lot of fun. You especially were out of control there. What was it like having these cameras following you, being a documentary star?
No, I think you don't think about it at all. After, probably the first hour, you just forget about it. And it was such an amazing experience, being with amazing people. And I think you just get lifted, having all these wonderful people and this energy. And you almost feel like you're all want the same thing and all want to change Africa and share similar values. And it's just, being taken out of the world for a bit, being re-energized and thinking, yes, I can change the world, I can change Africa.
And for you, Ziad, what was that experience like?
It was a life-changing experience, that's for sure. But I think also that we won't see the results immediately. I think that there is something that there is a grain or a seed that they planted in our hearts that will hopefully grow within the years.
Did you learn anything about yourself? I mean, an experience like that, meeting an eclectic mix of people from diverse backgrounds, what did it bring out about yourself?
Oh my God, I look at myself under a totally different angle now. You will see it in the documentary. It is really an experience that shows what you are really about.
I think for me, I would say the biggest kind of haha moment was leadership is not easy. And leadership is not straightforward. We had this exercise where it was almost a simulation of running a country. And all of a sudden you realize the complexity of the issues, but you also realize that you actually have, with some people, might share common values and common dreams, but on the way to achieve them, your ways differ.
You spent a lot of time together with the other young people exploring your own ideas about leadership. Let's find out more.
We're not really ready for democracy, but it's not acceptable in the current global context to actually say that we're not ready for democracy. So what's happening is, until we get benevolent dictators like in Rwanda, we're basically at the mercy of our governments. And in the meantime, we're just almost victim of democracy.
The risk of hoping for a benevolent dictator is much greater than the risk of democracy.
With memories of revolution still vivid, of young North Africans who'd risk everything for democratic rights, Ziad grows quietly agitated.
We actually don't have a democracy, right? Let's be blunt about it. We have the makings of a democratic process. We have all the trappings of it.
I'm about to jump off my seat. I can't stand anymore listening to all this. Seriously. Democracy is not based on the president, it's based on the citizens. We are 1 billion Africans. Are we 1 billion citizens of Africa? And I'm shocked that you go back to the example of like a benevolent dictatorship. This is why we are where we are because of this kind of dictatorship. I can go back to the example of Rwanda. They can do it only to a certain extent. We did it in Tunisia for 20 years. We educated the population. What do you want? You want health? We have a life expectancy of 70-ish number of years. You need to have freedom so people can thrive and have ideas and exchange and do things so they can innovate and bring the new economy that will bring growth. We are young leaders. We're here to promote a new style of leadership, and that's what we agreed on. You can't go back and be in your 20s or 30s and say, what we need is another dictatorship. We cannot sign up for another 30 years of dictatorship.
You were quite passionate, Ziad, in that particular debate. I'm with you on that one, that there's no space for dictatorship, any form of dictatorship in any country.
Well, I'm really happy to see this video because I did not realize that the camera was there and was so close and filmed that. But I totally agree. I think that we can build sustainable systems only if we go from bottom to the top. If we try to make shortcuts, there will be a payback.
But doesn't Swati have a point here by saying Rwanda, it is working, in China is not the perfect example of democracy, it's not a democracy at all, but something is working. Does she have a point?
Definitely, especially when you see the turmoil now that's happening in North Africa after the revolutions, seeing some country indicators going backwards versus the growth we all expected. So I agree that things are complex. But I truly believe that dictatorship is not really the form of government that we need in Africa.
So, Swati, do you really believe in benevolent dictators?
I think, I mean, my point also, I mean, we didn't see the whole of it, is that I do believe that benevolent dictatorship in certain condition is something that should be temporary. You know,
it never is, though. That's a problem about dictatorship. It's never temporary.
I mean, look at Singapore. It was temporary. Some of our populations are not educated enough. And I mean, we see it everywhere. They vote by ethnic group. They don't vote based on, you know, what's the program of the leader, etc. So you also, you know, it's great to have democracy, but if your people are poor, you know, is that worth it? And I think that was the whole also conversation, saying, you know, we also have to, there's not one size fits all. We have to be a little bit, I think especially as Africans, a little bit more sophisticated in our analysis of the different countries. And I think, you know, if you take something out of context, you know, you might think that I was saying that, you know, we should have benevolent dictatorship in every country in Africa, and that's not the case.
We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But before that, stick around while we hear from someone who's already a leader of his country. Earlier, I spoke to Najib Tun Razak, Malaysia's Prime Minister, who's a bit older than all of us, but he's still less than 60 and has been in politics almost all his adult life. Take a look. Thank you very much for joining us, Prime Minister. We're very happy to have you here on Al Jazeera. Let's start here. I understand that you're very active on Twitter.
I have actually more than 1 million Twitter followers. I find it's a great way for me to engage with the people, especially you know, the younger generation. And as a politician, I believe that we have to be adaptive. We must adjust our style.
Globally, Prime Minister, young people are becoming very disillusioned with politics. They don't trust their leaders. What are you doing differently to appeal to them?
Well, I need to talk to them. I need to engage them. I think the young people today actually want a government that listens to them. They want a government that will create opportunities for them, social mobility, create jobs for them, and that's exactly what we're doing today, based on the engagement that I've done through the social media.
But that's not all, is it, Prime Minister? I understand that you've been on a makeover campaign. In fact, some of the people who helped the former Prime Minister of Britain, Tony Blair, are working with you. They've helped you. But many people have said that Tony Blair was very, very superficial. So all of this drive to appeal to young people, what about real connections? Is it all about being sempoi?
No, it's not about being sempoi, about being cool. You know, that's a Malay word for being cool. It's about bringing about real change. And real change is taking place in Malaysia. And I believe the young people here in Malaysia have that confidence. We had a great youth day. Almost 2 million people gathered in Putrajaya, our administrative capital, and to show support for the reforms that we're doing.
Your family has been compared to the Kennedy dynasty in the United States. Your uncle was a prime minister, your father, and you're seen very much as an insider. Is that a good thing?
In a way, I think in an initial part, I cannot deny that it was advantageous in a sense that I had a name and I had the connections, but I still needed to show that I could be accepted by the party and by the people.
And also accepted globally. Let's talk about your global movement of moderates. What's the idea behind that?
The global movement of the moderates is all about showing that moderation is the right path. First of all, to show that Islam is a religion of peace, that Islam is against suicide bombing. Islam is against the killing of innocent civilians. That is un-Islamic. Islam is about peace. Islam is about being fair, not only to Muslims, but also to non-Muslims as well. So this global movement of moderates will give a very positive image of Islam to the world, especially to the Western world. And at the same time, I want to engage Christian moderates. I want to engage Hindu moderates. I want to engage even Jews who are moderate. Because if moderates get together, and if moderates speak out, if moderates occupy the center stage, then we can drown out the voices of hatred, of violence, of extremists.
You've said that you want to speak to all moderates, but shouldn't we look at the reasons why there is extremism in the world?
Yes, it's important for us to understand why people resort to violence. And as you rightly said so, alluded to it, that some of the underlying causes need to be addressed, provided they are legitimate. But even if you have a legitimate cause, it doesn't warrant you to kill innocent civilians.
Tell me more about Islam that is modern and progressive. I know the Secretary of State in the United States has praised Malaysia for showing the world a different side that is progressive and modern. What does that actually mean?
You have to come to Malaysia and see for yourself, because this is a clear model, clear manifestation of how Islam is applied. Because Islam, as it is applied in Malaysia, is consonant with modernity, with progress, with social justice, including respecting the rights of women. There's never been a women gender issue in Malaysia. So we're proud of our achievements, and I hope more people will visit Malaysia, because the reality if you visit Malaysia is quite different from the perception.
Let's talk about your One Malaysia campaign.
The One Malaysia concept is, our clarion call, our banner, to really forge a united Malaysian society. And since we launched One Malaysia, there's been a tremendous support for it, because it goes beyond tolerance. I mean, it goes towards accepting diversity as a source of strength. If you can celebrate diversity as a source of strength, it means that you've truly embraced the concept of One Malaysia.
But Prime Minister, is that not all cosmetic? I think most people all over the world would love to be united, but the factors that divide people, a lack of access to finances, unequal economic opportunities, no ownership of land, those are the issues that divide people. Can you force people to be united when there is inequality?
You've got to have a guiding philosophy, but once you have a guiding philosophy, because that will affect people's attitude and mindset, you must follow up with policies that make real changes in this country. That's why one of the pillars of One Malaysia is about social justice.
Prime Minister, before we go, I understand that this morning, again, you were woken up by a song on your iPhone from Culture Club. What will you be listening to for the rest of the day?
Today, I'm afraid today is such a it's such a busy day for me, so I would not be listening to any music. But normally I like to listen to light and easy music, because I come from that era. So I find it very difficult to kind of adjust my music taste to some of the music of the very young generation.
That is Sempoi. That's the music that you find difficult to adjust to. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm not taking any opinions about his taste in music, but what do you think of him? Is that a leader?
Well, I think that he's saying the right things. I think the fact that he uses social media, the fact that he seems to be accessible, is that what the 21st century politics is about. Now, politicians and leaders are judged on their achievements and not only on their words. So basically, I hope that he can transfer and translate those words into actions, and that also leadership is about transmission, that he will be able to transmit his skills into a younger generation and know when to quit, because knowing when to quit is also part of leadership.
People outside the Arab Spring, Tunisia, Egypt, what do we have to learn from those events?
Well, they have to learn that revolutions sometimes, or in the 21st century, are about creating a lot of noise. If you participate in creating that noise and in toppling your dictators or your regime or your system, then you have to stay engaged till the end. You cannot do it and be happy and then go back to your normal life expecting things to improve. Once it's a non-stop process. Once you're in for good, and you can quit only when change is there.
So you've lived in 11 different countries, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
So I'm very keen to find out what your views on the position of women on the continent are.
You know, actually what keeps me going is exactly that, I would say, challenge. And part of what keeps me going every day is to think, as a woman, if I give up, because of course we have so many challenges, you know, we have to take care of families, we have children, and we have demanding jobs. And, you know, I used to tell my male colleagues, I do everything you do, but when I go home, I still have to cook. I still have to take care of my family, and you don't. There are lots of things that men leaders, you know, even if they have empathy, they really can't put themselves in our shoes.
It's not their experience.
It's not their experience, and it will never be. So as a woman, it will only take, I think, women and also men who are willing to support.
That's you, Ziad.
This cause to make the changes.
I totally believe the more women we have in the African leadership, the better Africa is going to be.
All right, I have a question for you. I don't know where you see yourself in the next couple of years, but you are future leaders. You very well may be in a presidential palace in a couple of years, who knows? So if you were president of your country, what is the one practical thing that you would do to change the lives of people?
Education. I mean, it's all about education. In my own country, we've lost generations already to that. So when you look at the future, you're actually wondering who is going to build it. And for me, education is just the root, is just the basis, is where we should focus all our efforts on, because that's our future.
And for you, Ziad?
Well, first, it's really difficult to think about ourselves being president,
it's not
because
inconceivable.
The image of a president is so negative at this level that I really don't feel comfortable with that idea. But I think I would inspire people. I really would inspire them to bring change to their life and believe in themselves and in their ability to do and achieve things. As I said in the beginning, there is a leader in each one of us, and it's about really bringing that out in order to change society. Our North African population needs inspiration and needs inspirational leaders.
Well, Ziad and Swadi, I look forward to reading more about you, watching you a bit more on Al Jazeera. Very exciting to know that there are these kind of leaders on the continent. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us on South2North.
Thank you.
And don't forget to catch up with Ziad and Swadi in the rest of the Tutu Fellows on the leadership course. Tutu's Children starts on Thursday, the 10th of January at 2000 GMT. Thanks for watching South2North. Bye-bye.